Hello, hello, people, and we are going to start a new What If today. If you're going to question what happened to What If Naruto was a hyuga, I don't think I can do that one anymore because I don't know that much about Naruto, the Naruto TV show or the anime, so I can't really do a What If on it, so I'll have to watch it again. So then I'm just going to do What If Deku was a hyuga. So please, before you start anything, like and subscribe and share with your friends for more. And I'll be posting on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. So, thank you. So, this is what if Deku was a Hyuga. Deku, growing up, was a young and happy child, always loving and admiring All Might. He loved All Might with a passion burning through with fire, so it was the day for him to go to the quirk doctor and see what his quirk was. So as he was playing in the park with his friend, Bakugo Katsuki, who he called Kachan, his mom called him over saying we're going to go to the quirk doctor. When they get to the quirk doctor, Izuku is sitting right next to his mom with his All Might action figure in his hand, jumping up and down, up and down. Hold on, let me do something real quick. Sorry for the cut, and I'm back. So, when he went to the quirk doctor, he was jumping up and down, and his mom tells him, Izuku, please sit down, as he does, just shaking with excitement. The doctor comes in, tells him, you have a very powerful quirk. It's called Byakugan. From what I can tell, it's in your father's part of the family. But your father has a fire-breathing quirk, am I correct? That he asks Inko. She says yes. And she looks at his Hasashi's files. But in this AU, Hasashi works a different job, so he's actually in Deku's life. It says that Hasashi got his mother's quirk, so he passed on that quirk to Izuku. So they ask, what does his quirk do? His quirk gives him 360 vision, which means there are absolutely no blind spots, incredible strength and durability and speed. He can see through walls. He can see the genetic makeup of people, which means he can see their pressure points and everything. So Deku, really excited, he says, yes, that's going to be he says, it's a great quirk. I'll become a great hero like All Might. He says it with such passion and as he shines. His mother says, that's my little Izuku. So we are going to do something a little different. Since he has a quirk in this one, he's not called Deku. But I'm going to call him Deku because I don't like calling him Izuku. So he's not called Deku. And in the picture, this is what he looks like. Because his father has blue eyes and his mother has green. So let's do a time skip for when he's 15 in his last year of middle school. So Izuku spent those 10 years training himself physically so he can, and still studying so he can still be smart and get into UA both through the written and physical part of the test. So in this AU, it's the last day of middle school. The teacher comes in and says, okay, we're going to discuss what you're going to do when you leave middle school. But 2 minutes go by and says, oh, whatever, I know you all want to be heroes, and throws all the papers in the air. Then Bakugo stands up, does his little, I'm better than everyone, and I'm probably going to be the only one getting into UA type of talk. Just trying to put everyone down. But then he reads off the people who are going to UA. He says Bakugo Katsuki and Izuku Midoriya. Bakugo doesn't laugh at Deku for this because he knows he can get into UA. So we're going to do it. Then it's the part at the end of the day. They are going to. Deku's walking underneath the bridge, and is attacked by the sludge villain. He knows this because he has enhanced senses thanks to his quirk. So he turns on his Byakugan as his eyes go milky white, and veins bulge on the side of his eyes. So he jumps back and gets out of the way of the sludge villain. He notices that the sludge villain isn't really physical, so some of his attacks wouldn't work. So when the sludge villain tries to attack him again, he does this. He says 8 trigrams rotation, and spins in a dome of physical energy. Pushes away the sludge villain, knocking him back. He stops using rotation, and then he uses 8 trigrams gale palm, and a blast of wind shoots from his palm and pushes the sludge villain back. And in this AU, villains like to do hand-to-hand combat, but there's a lot of villains who use long-range abilities, so that's why he's trying to use long-range instead of always going into quick combo attacks with his hands. But then he hears this voice goes, "Ah, ah, ah, I am here." And then then the sludge villain just obliterates all over the walls. And Deku looks up to see All Might, his favorite hero. So, and he says, "Oh my god, it's All Might, it's actually All Might." And starts doing a little bit of fanboying. But since he's a Hyuga, he's gotten a lot more respect for himself. So he's not really as shy and timid anymore. But he asks All Might for his autograph and gives him the sludge villain. All Might jumps off, but since Deku has a quirk in this one, he doesn't grab onto his leg. But All Might drops the sludge villain due to him having a hole in his pocket. So the sludge villain attacks Bakugo. Deku, hearing the loud explosions, runs over to see what's going on. Then Deku sees Bakugo in the sludge villain and being suffocated by him. His body ignores his mind's commands and starts running towards him. And he does the 8 trigrams gale palm, blasting the sludge villain off Bakugo with immense force with the wind pressure he shot toward him. And he gets to Bakugo, and Bakugo is on the ground but still conscious, so he knows what's going on. So sludge villain tries to attack them both, but Deku does rotation, protecting him and Bakugo. And the rotation blasts the sludge villain back a couple feet and into a Detroit smash from All Might, throwing him into the sky and obliterating him. Then, when Deku is walking home, All Might comes up to him and does his little rant as he does in canon, telling him he can be a hero, and yada yada yada. And he asks if Deku wants to inherit his quirk. Deku says yes, with a stern but serious look on his face. And the next day, he goes to Dagobah Beach and sees it's all cleared has a lot of trash on it. Then All Might says, "You can clean this up in a 10-month time span that we have for UA." So, and as I said earlier on, Deku is already physically built, so he could handle about 10, maybe 15% of One For All. But All Might wants to make sure he can handle it, so he gives him an extra workout. So, a 5-month time skip. Deku cleans the beach in these 5 months. So he has gotten stronger, and All Might gives Deku his quirk. It says, "Eat this." Deku's like, "What?" He says, "You have to eat my DNA in order to inherit my quirk." So he eats his hair and then gets his quirk. So In this, Deku really loves his family's name. Instead of his family name being Midoriya, it's Hyuga. So his name in this is Izuku Hyuga. So 2 hours pass, and they start training. In this, Izuku's is smarter than what he was in canon. So when All Might says, "Don't put all the power into one punch and let it flow through your body," he really gets it, and he lets One For All through within him. So now he figures out full cowling, and he knows how to do, and it powered up his original quirk. So he's a lot stronger, and he can see everybody's movements. But knowing that he can hit people's pressure points, putting more effect, since One For All strengthened his quirk, One For All gave him the ability, when he hits the person's pressure points, he disables their quirk temporarily and paralyzes them, or that part of the body, or the entire body, if he hits all of the necessary pressure points. So Deku trains with One For All and studies for the UA entrance exam for another 5 months. By the end of the 10-month training arc, he has a grasp on 30 to 31% of One For All. So, and him being a proud Hyuga, he wears a headband that has the Hyuga symbol on it to notify he's from a proud family. So when he's walking into UA, he was about to trip, but then he did a backflip, landing on his hands, and then sticking another backflip and walking away. The people around him looked in utter confusion, but continued on with their day. So when he got in, he noticed that he was sitting next to Bakugo. So they do the written portion of the exam. Then it's next to the preliminary parts where he's fighting the robots. So it's time for the preliminary part of the exams. So they go into the auditorium and sit down. Presentation Mike is explaining the exam and on the robots. Right when he gets to the 0-pointer, a kid with blue hair and glasses stands up and starts yelling at him, saying, "You forgot about the 0-pointer. I'm very disappointed in you as a structured school to forget such a crucial detail." Deku stands up and politely says, "Can you please stop?" He was getting right to it. And he says, "Thank you." President Mike says thank you to Izuku. And Ida starts apologizing and say, "I'm greatly sorry for my disrespectful manner." And then when it's time for them at the gate, they're all standing there and waiting. Deku starts to power up One For All, and this blue lightning starts forming around him, and he's getting ready. So, and he activates his Byakugan. So when the gates open, he rushes in, not wasting any time. Starts attacking robots left from right, using gentle fist after gentle fist. Then he starts doing one thing he learned. He learned from a book that his great-grandmother wrote. She said, if you focus your life force or your energy to your hands, it'll form two giant lions on his hands. He did this and focused his energy to his hands, creating the technique Double Lion Fist. And he started using this, shooting rocket-like lions at the robot, destroying them. He was only 5 minutes into the practical exam, and he already had 90 points. Then he kept doing this from left and right. Then he kept punching them. As another 5 minutes go by, he gains another total of 50 points, putting him at 140 points, passing All Might's record, which is 130. He goes to He was about to stop, but then when the ground shakes, he activates his Byakugan to see what everybody's running from. He sees the giant zero-pointer robot coming at them. He was gonna leave, but then he sees a girl trapped under some rubble. So he runs and jumps using one for all at 20% and focuses and does gale palm, blasting it with incredible wind pressure from him using his Byakugan and one for all at the same time, destroying the robot. And when he gets down, a bunch of rubble was about to fall on the girl. So he ran over there and stood over her and did the 8 trigrams rotation, protecting the girl from the rubble. He lifted the rubble off of her, and the rubble that was already on top of her off of her, and carried her to a recovery girl where she was healed and then dealt with. He left the entrance exam. He left UA happy and proud for what he did for himself and for his mother. Because his dream of being a hero was to make sure all people were safe, so no one was ever thinking that they were being put in danger. A couple weeks pass, and Deku gets his letter saying that he got into UA and he got first place with villain points at 140 and with hero points 60. So if I do them in a mass total he had, and in a total of points he had was a number of 200, making it into UA at first place and into class 1A. He was excited and he told his mom and dad. They were both jumping for joy. They said that they were very proud of him and for how hard he's worked and how much it's paid off. So I'm going to leave it off here. Just give me more ideas for my hero ships. Give me ideas for the ships. So who do you want me to ship him with? And give me ideas for new what ifs because I'm gonna start doing this more often. So thank you, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.